Okay, so and I won't. It's impossible to describe what was going on. But anyway, we're back up, so we can get into it. And I was just sort of thinking that there's not a lot to do, so it'll be a short one tonight. And there you go. I've already been at it for a while. So we will go straight into the tracker, and then we'll come back and if there's anyone around, it's Easter, all that sort of stuff. Hope you had a good day. It's raining, or it's been raining here in the Sable. Got cold again, all that sort of stuff. And I've been just doing what I usually do, sit in the office working and getting distracted as well. And there you go, big Easter weekend. And yeah, anyway, that's enough. Let's go for the tracker. The first thing I've got to do is get you on the tracker, which is this one here. Yep, you've got the tracker. So now I'm on the tracker and I'm looking at me on my phone here. So it's still all working. Oh, I've got subtitles as well. There you go. So it's kind of interesting. We've got Popeye and John are right on the extreme right of the screen there. We've got the fleet in the middle, and we've got down the bottom left-hand corner, we've got the Marquises. So we can get it all together at once, and it's got a bit lighter. And I've just had a look before. There's still now two people that aren't on the right time. Renaud's only on 12 o'clock, and Kerry's on 12 o'clock, and everyone else looks like they're on 1600. So that's fine. We'll get to that in a minute. But you can see there straight away before it's got light, and Kerry's only doing 3.7 knots at the moment, so he'll be a bit miffed about that. Anyway, so yeah, as we were projecting, the trades have definitely started to weaken, but we'll have a look at the 2-day weather later on. So for now, we come back here to Mike and John, and they're not moving fast. The previous 4 hours are only doing 1 or 2 knots or something, so they're starting to head on track, and it's light on the nose. So, but they're absolutely side by side. I'm always fascinated on that. They'll be on the VHF radio, but how close are they? There they are. And I will just do a bit of a guess. I need to pick it up a bit here. They're so close together. 2 miles, 2 miles apart. So the 2 miles is nothing. I see the sail on the horizon, which is always very comforting and a bit of fun. So they're not moving too fast. Whoops, get rid of this. Not moving too fast. John doing 2.5 knots, 53-mile day, and Mike is doing 3.2 knots and another 55 miles. So a bit of change in bits and pieces, and the forecast is showing light headwinds as we suggested yesterday. How far have they come? They don't do distance to the finish is 6,000, but that's Fiji. So let's just see. They've been underway since Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, 3 days. They wouldn't have travelled too far, so they've gone from there to here. 380 miles. That's not too bad. So that's still okay, and you will have to wait and see what happens from here on in. And I'm just going to squeak it there so you can see that the wind direction generally is not favourable right now, but they're still moving, going to windward. That might be why they're going so slow, and the sea's 1.5 metres or something, but it's not much joy if that is all a factor of headwinds. The currents, I think they've got a bit of a favourable current there, so that's sort of good, except when you realise that wind and tide going the wrong way, if the current's coming the opposite direction of wind, it makes the sea stand up. However, the wind is very light. forward. A hit for that one, and just pushing it through. It's very light headwinds, and then it's getting a bit stronger. That's not much fun there. That's 10 or 12 knots on the nose. So if the boat's moving 3 or 4 knots, then it's like 15, and that sea will get up a little bit. But they might be on the tail end of that. That's by the 20th, so there's one day ahead. And then it's still light. So it's very light to nothing. So that's better than strong headwinds, but it's not going to be good for progress. So without getting into it too far, they're not going to be roaring towards the Galapagos anytime soon. So that's their story. Then back here with our guys, I'm going to push that up one more and see if we can get them all in. Just about can. Yep, that's pretty cool. There's Renaud. Okay, so nice breeze down the back. A bit hard to pick that because it's not the right weather. Now we've got in today's weather, so now it's a bit light on. And they've all been saying that. I shared a few videos this morning. You probably saw the conditions are great. They're really enjoying it after all the rain and no sun and all that sort of stuff. So I'm sure they're making the most of it and not complaining. So Gary, 3.8 knots. Just got the right time and 94-mile day. So 94 for Gary, and Josh is 114. So absolutely patchy. I think they're anyway. Let's wait and see. They'll sort themselves out on who's sailing better between these two down the back. You can't define it at the moment because the weather's still a bit patchy. But 4.9, that's okay. 114, that's very good. They're just enjoying it. Jasmine, 108 miles, 4.1, a little bit softer for shore. And 123 for Jacob and 4.7. So Jacob's pulling away a little bit, still pulling away. Adam, 110. Jacob's Jeepers. Jacob's going to start passing boats again. And Adam's doing 4.3. They're right on top of each other, so you'd think that that's got a bit to do with boat speed. So Jacob's moving quite well. Mark's plodding along, still doing the average, 4.8. Ayrton, 5.2 knots and 102-mile day. It's really interesting because he's still sort of holding his own, but it's saying that the boats at the back are catching up with Ayrton. But he seems to be holding his own, but we'll have to wait and see. And then 6.2 for Christian. So Christian's definitely passing Ayrton. And 142. Jeepers, he must be running his motor. Joke. But that's pretty good. 142, 6.2, 5.2, and 102. So that's interesting. Eric, 114, 4.6. That's consistent, just regular plodding along. And Dan looks as if he's pulling away. 123 compared to 114. So he's pulled out again. He's been slowly progressing and moving away, slowly but surely, trying to get away from the mid group, and I think that's actually happening. So he's focused there, or maybe getting a bit more breeze, whatever. When I look at it, there is a wind band through here for Eric and Dan, but this could be wrong. I think it's very hard to pick this stuff when it's light winds. So this graphic might not be quite the way it really is, but who knows. 4.8 for Peeler, 123-mile day. So that's pretty good because Dan was 123 as well. So, and then Kerry, not sure why he's dipping down there because that's to a degree he's sailing away from the mark, but he's probably tacking downwind with his big spinnaker up because he's only doing jibing downwind, 3.7, which is a factor of the rum line, which is sort of coming down that way, but he's a little bit off it. So he's probably just jibing downwind with his big number 3, asymmetric number 3, 121 nautical miles. Had a few messages from Kerry today. Everything's good. He's trying to get a new Starlink into Fiji. He wants to know if you could buy one in Fiji. I think you probably could, but it might be horrifically expensive. So we'll have to wait and see on that. And he's got to get a few other things as well, a few other bits and pieces. So 121-mile day. Dan, 132-mile day. So you can see here, if you say, the course is in that direction. So if I draw a line between the two, Kerry's falling behind Dan. Dan's been consistently higher speeds. As previously, I think I it's fair to say there was a bit more breeze up that end than what there is down the bottom for Kerry. So, but Dan's well and truly holding on to second place there. And has he actually caught up with? Of course, here's the other problem: timeline. Dan is on 1600 hours UTC, and Kerry is on 1200. So that would put him around about here somewhere, just not quite on that 120 degrees west longitude, which is a little bit closer to Dan, but Dan is still holding second place, and 132-mile day is pretty good. Every time I see a video from him, he's hooting along, so he's driving harder. And, that was one thing that Kerry said. He's popped the Vang attachment on his boom. Kerry's got a Selden mast, and the Vang fittings popped, and it was a real pain to sort something out. He had to pull the end of the boom off. He had to drop the boom, pull the end of the boom off, move it all the way, get in there, put some bolts in there, and a few other bits to make a lashing as well as sort it. So I'll be sending a message to all of the managers tonight. We're having a rendezvous for exercise tonight at 2000 hours UTC. And in the process of that, I will tell the managers they should advise their entrants to check and keep an eye on the Vang fitting on the boom, and that Kerry's broke unexpectedly, because if that breaks at the wrong time, it could be quite dangerous. So thanks, Kerry, for letting us know about that. We'll see how we go. So holding the suspense. How many miles a day did Renaud get? Here it comes, here it comes, here it comes. Get ready, boom. 136 versus 132. So Renaud, in daily run, has actually pulled out an extra 4 miles. Is that right? Yeah, 4 miles. And so if he's running at 5.2, Dan's running at 4.7, so he'd be another 20 miles ahead. So we want the pointer anyway, because I've got a few things to measure. So we'll come another 20 miles, and he's about that much ahead. There's coming up to 20, about there. So Dan's there, and Renaud's here, and Kerry's about there. Okay, so that's the leaders of the fleet. Now, while we're here, I'll just do a timeline to the finish. Here it is, getting very tricky. So Renaud is now just over 1,000 miles from the finish. So that's normally I say 1,000 miles a week, but let's say 7, 8, 9, 7, 8 days. So I reckon probably 8 days because it's going to go quiet. So 8 days, still there, well and truly by the end of the month. Maybe a day before the end of the month for Renaud, which is pretty cool. And just as a reminder to explain how this worked, because Renaud was just checking today, or yesterday, we had a chat back and forwards. This is the Marquesa group. Nuka Hiva is the big, sort of semi-big one right at the end. And they have to transit through here between this top island, which is Takahoa or whatever, and this one here, Hanavavi, or whatever, this one here. So they've got to go through that somehow. But the ports of entry, there's one here, Nuka Hiva on that side, there's another one, I forget the name of them now, and there's another one here. So the entrants will decide where they want to go. And you can see if you want to cut the corner, then it's probably going to be this one. Nuka Hiva is the one right up here. But that's where all I suppose it's the capital. It's the most popular one where most of the boats go. But if you're racing, you might decide to come down to this one because it's a bit shorter. And the timeline starts from the time that they drop their anchor in the last anchorage where they go ashore to clear customs and immigration. So if for whatever reason they anchor somewhere else, that's not the end of the trip, and then they sail to the customs and quarantine. It's when they do their last anchorage before they launch their tender to go ashore to talk to customs and immigration. That's when the clock starts, from the time their anchor's chucked over the side. When they leave, it's exactly the same. Now, a boat could, for instance, come up here and enter in that port, and if it gets a cruising permit to come down to this port, they could, in the 8 days, sail down to here and then be ready to lift their anchor after they clear customs and come back to the boat from here and then take off from there. So there's degree of flexibility on exactly where they go and what they do. And I'd suggest that some people will follow Renaud wherever he goes. I'm not sure, but we'll have to wait and see. And it's an 8-day stopover, this one. So that's pretty straightforward. That's how it works. Let's look at the weather for the next 2 days just to see if there's any change. And there was. If it's holding true like it was yesterday, it'll get windier for the fleet. So let's just roll it through. We'll look at the currents in a minute. So here we come. Yeah, it's filled in more breeze by tomorrow night. Tomorrow night, there will absolutely be more breeze coming, or more consistent. Not big breeze, but at least it's going to keep their speeds up. Some of them are, looking forward to getting to Marquesas 21. So that's 2 days, and there's exactly 2 days away. So there's still got plenty of breeze for the next 2 days. And then if we just push through again, there's a bit light on at the end, but they've still got some distance to go. So they're going to have good breezes all the way there. There's the 24th, 25th, still holding breeze, 26th, 27th. They'll keep moving, but it's going to go slower. So as they do their final approach, yeah, it's not bad. Yeah, I could tell you what, it could be a hell of a lot worse. So I think their speeds, they will absolutely, Renaud will be there, probably the day before the end of the month, and then there'll be the lead group will be in, and then the others will be on the first few days of next week, next month. So, and as for currents, if we pull that back and just have a look at the currents, not a lot of help there. Most of them are coming out of it now, going across there, and we might give you 2 days. No, still not much help, but not a negative, and some more coming on later on. In terms of clouds, let's see what they got. It's pretty good, sunny days. There's a few clouds there, obviously, but it's not too bad. And temperature-wise, let's see if the colours are so. It's pretty much the same. It's cooler at nights, obviously, and it's cool in the breeze. So no one's complaining about the heat at the moment. So it must be very bearable, very bearable indeed. So that's a good thing. And then there's still not a lot to see on the leaderboard. Oh, they're the two. Kerry and Renaud are not there, so that's cool. And distance sailed so far, we're 4 hours out of it, but Renaud's coming up to 3,000 miles now. He would be, close to 3,000 miles. And Dan is on 2,850, and Kerry would be on 2,840 or something, 30, and so it goes. Fila 2,758. It's giving a bit of an indication of where they're stacked up, but it's pretty obvious from the lineup we've got at the moment where they are. So there's not a lot of things that we can glean from that. And the Finnish ETAs are actually for Fiji, which is not to worry for the moment. Okay, I don't think there's anything else there that I can ring it out, so I'm going to come back here and pop me in there. Yep, I'm back. So big Easter weekend, so I hope you're all having fun. Hope you're not eating too much chocolate, all those sorts of things. There's only a couple of people commenting here. This one's pretty straightforward, but everything seems to work. So Hiva Oa, yeah, whatever. Christine, I forget the name of them, but there's three there. Lake Shannon, and greetings from Bocas. Okay, so I think that's it. There's a couple of things going on in the background about some assessments. There might be some changes to the notice of race from the Marquesas, specifically referring to wind vanes and the whole issue of how they're set up and what they're doing and so on. So stay tuned for that. It might surprise a few people, but we've got some thinking, and our little team will get together and discuss all that. So there may be some interesting relevance to those issues. What else can I tell you? Oh, that's about it, I think. Yeah, nothing else to keep going. So we'll get out of here. Let you get back to your Easter celebrations and Easter egg hunts and all those sorts of things. And guess what? Oh, no, I didn't see any questions, but there's not a lot of people there anyway, so it doesn't matter. Thanks for that. And we'll hopefully, if this system stays stable, so I didn't think I was going to get one up tonight, we'll be here probably tomorrow but it probably won't be here on Monday. I've got some other stuff going on, so there might not be a tracker update on Monday, but we'll wait and see. Okay, see you later. Have a good Easter.
It's history in the making. The McIntyre Mini Globe Race 2025. Small boat, huge adventure.